an interim administration, be it, but the mechanisms are there. I differ with those who say that because the commissioners are not there, we cannot hold elections in Kenya. Otherwise, that would be ceding power and saying that the MPs and the presidency can collude and not have IBC, and then come 2027, we don't have elections. The constitution is not designed like that. If you look at the architecture of the constitution, you have got an election for president taking place in the constituency, as ordained in Article 138, Clause 2. Bomas is a creation of MPs. We don't require bomas to conduct elections for the presidency. So we are able to get a proper government going. The question of who can take over is a wrong question, because no, we are not looking for a messiah. Who should take over is the law, is the rule of law. And anybody who doesn't believe in the rule of law, who thinks that him as an individual is the solution for Kenya, is wrong. So once the law is the force that is governing the country, anybody can govern this country. So let us work for the force, the rule of law. The question of who takes over is not important in our circumstance. We have got the constitution. Anybody who is ready to implement the constitution of Kenya is ready to lead us as we go forward. And there are very, very many Kenyans who believe that what is happening is wrong because the law has been disregarded and we need to implement the law. So I strongly believe that together we can force Ruto out of office and the Kenya Kwanza administration and get mechanisms whereby the law becomes the ruler and the law becomes the dictator. Kenya, under the dictatorship of the law, will become a first world country in a very short time. But without the rule of law, no individual can save this country. Only the law can save us, and the supreme law is the constitution. Let us implement the constitution, and we shall have the paradise that is seen, that the framers of our national anthem saw when this country was being born. So that's how I would answer those two questions. Unless there's another question, I hand the mic back.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Tata.
There was a question of the pension. I just remember the pension of the president. It is very clear, and that's another violation of the law, because if you are still in active employment, you cannot earn pension. It's not about public office. Is not about what you take away. It's not about take away. It's about service, and it's only when you are retired that you get a pension, and the pension you get is a pension from the last public office you held, not from every public office you held. You walk away with a pension. It's wrong, and it's not acceptable. And right now, especially right now, when many Kenyans who are retiring from the civil service are not getting pensions. Teachers are not getting their pensions for I don't know how many years. Doctors, all the people who retire don't get to go home with their pensions. So it cannot be acceptable that somebody at that level can be earning a salary and a pension at the same time. It's just an oxymoron. It's not acceptable. So that's all. And thank you for the honor to address you.
Thank you so much for sharing and setting aside time to come and join us, and also thanks for confirming that that's the case. So that would mean that the case in the question is still receiving pension, but getting a salary is not only the only one. There's another person too. Is there any way that somebody can legally push against that? Because it is not congruent to come and tell people to live within their means when you yourself, you're having a pension and an active salary. Is there any way we can do that legally to ensure that moving forward, even for the future presidents or people who hold such high positions, do not have like two salaries? Back to you.
Yes, I think there is a provision, because I think I don't have my constitution here, but I think somewhere around Article 77, 75, 76, it addresses the issue of pensions, and this is what a state officer should be. And even the issue, even the principle that a state officer should attract honor to his office. That provision alone is enough to be interpreted to show that anything dishonorable should not be done by anybody. So I think that we need to look at the pension of the president and the act on the pension, which just assigns pensions to office that you have left. Doesn't assign pensions to the fact that you are no longer earning a salary from the public sector. Because the purpose of the public sector jobs, first of all, nobody has got a right to employment in the public sector. Jobs only become a necessity so that the state can deliver on its mandate of providing service. So if you are no longer in that, if you are still within the state, you cannot legitimately earn a salary. So we need to relook at the Pensions Act. There's this act on the president and the deputy president, and I don't know MPs on whatever retirement benefits. We need to look at that legal framework and address it properly and get the situation whereby no individual can continue earning a pension as you serve in a different office. Even you have governors who had, or other people who had served as MPs for 2 terms, and they went into administration as governors. They were earning a pension and they were earning a salary. So that kind of set of affairs, I think, is not acceptable. And especially if you look at the fact that salaries for politicians are horribly, and I use the word horribly deliberately when you compare it within the context, are horribly out of touch with the salaries of other public servants. And so I think that we need to look at the law. And these laws are not just about pension. We have a lot of statutes in our books that contradict the Constitution and are being implemented. Even the Public Order Act that was used the other day is against the Constitution. So there's need for Kenyans to look at our legal framework and remove those laws that contradict the Constitution, so that those who execute power are not able to use these laws to do what the Constitution forbids. That exercise was supposed to have been done within 10 years, within 5 years. But we are now in 13 years down the line since the new Constitution. It has not been done. That is the issue that for me is painful, and I think we need to relook at our laws going forward.
Thank you so much, for the clarification and also for your input there. Feel free to stay on the mic for further questions. Yes, we're happy to have you on board. Hannah and then Innocent in that order, 3 minutes each.
Thank you much. I don't know. I'll try the 3 minutes. Mjumbe na kusalimia Mwateta, a senator.
Jambo.
Jambo. We clearly can see that the Constitution is there, but the constitutionality of our institutions, it's not being implemented. So we're lacking constitutionality, even though the Constitution is there. Now, for somebody like you, that I am aware, you have a few cases in court against the actual system in the states and different matters, in matters of. Somebody's opened the music on them. My goodness. Now,
yeah, somebody. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Now, in your own area, constituency, you having I know there is a lot of problem where like land grabbing, lands that are sold that belongs to that area, the government of that area, but you are unable to follow it up. There is a lot of misuse of funds. There are papers that you cannot get it from the governor. You go to court to get it. So you can understand if Madge and Hillary and I or any Kenyan says that they want to get this paperwork, they want to transparency, because this document, public document, they should be there for the public to be able to see, unless it's something to do with the military. You as a senator is having problems with that. You as a senator are unable to sort a lot of mess in your area. So what do you think of the law, of the local Mwananchi to be able to point a finger where a problem is. We know there is a lot of misuse of funds in when it comes to the local governments. We know even the money that is collected, forget the money that is allocated, even the money that is collected for these local governments do not get their way to the public coffers, which in totality means this system is not working. How should we then fix this system to work? If a system that can make Mwatata not be able to get hold of evidence, not be able to go to court and present things, not be able to fight this corruption on his level, how are we going to be able to do that as Kenyans? Thank you.
Thank you. I think he's dropped from the mic. He's gonna come back again. He's mostly really having issues. There, he's Omtata, not Mwatata. I just wanted to correct that, Anna. So, and as he comes in, one aspect that, dear Mr. President, as if you can hear this, and I know this is going to be played to you. You people ask diasporans to invest in Kenya. But the title deeds sometimes that are issued by the same government end up being not genuine. So you have one land with three different title deeds, but these titles were just issued with the same government. So we'd want to see or want to hear what kind of reforms are coming to make sure that that is not the case. And the same things with demolitions, where people are building and the next thing you see that things are being demolished. Now, we need to have a scenario whereby if something is wrong, and people are buying land and they're not supposed to be buying it, they should be stopped before they start building on it, and not have a nation where demolitions just become an order of the day. This is something that's not creating trust in the diaspora. We really fear investing in that country because we don't know what's going to happen. So as we go to the next speaker, who's Innocent, let's not forget to build a network by following each other. So do follow each other. Innocent, over to you.
Innocent, can you hear us? Maybe it's not. John Mark, go ahead. Then Victor, then Gadab.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor to be on the forum, and Maj, thank you so much for the work you guys are doing. Also, in recognition of diaspora today, I think I just want to make my comments very brief and in a philosophical manner. We need to be very, very careful about what we are approaching and putting on the table as our issues, because the country is basically, the inside of the country is riddled. It's a riddled cancer. Maj, you talk about the title deeds that are issued incorrectly. Let's not forget, this is not an issue that began 2 years ago. Neither is it done by Ruto or any other president that has been there. So what I want to reiterate here is the words that Honorable Mtata has reiterated. I think the issue that we need to be looking at here is our constitution. We, as the people and the owners of Kenya, blessed by God, those who are here and those who are in all other countries, because today diaspora is a constituency in Kenya. So we are all a part of our country, no matter how close or far we are. We need to look inside ourselves, and we need to have a moral discussion. And that moral discussion needs to go to each and every one of our individual hearts. It's about the values and principles, and the first preamble of the Constitution makes it very clear. So we need to have a discussion around the morality of our preamble and civil education, and everything else can then come falling into place. But we have a beautiful country, and we now have a people who are ready to take responsibility, no matter how hard or painful it's going to be. And finally, for the government, with the withdrawal of the finance bill, what that has shown us is, as the people, we have the power to hold the government accountable. And if we stick to that, because the issues are many, The reason why there's two people who are receiving two, three, four, five salaries is not because we don't have a constitution. It's because of the immorality that's been applied in the day-to-day application. And with that, I wish all the Kenyans the best. Gen Z, you guys are on the lead. You've woken up. You're whipping us together. We are behind you. And let's do this correctly. Let's maintain peace and let's institute change. It's going to take us time. We have not been, it's been 60 years of deterioration. So let's be aware. It's a journey. Let's not take politicians and put them into place of leadership. Let us take leaders and put them into place of politics. We have a lot of work. The rest of it will come together. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, John Mark. And sorry that we are interrupting at the very end, but we were trying to just keep times to ensure that people, get to speak. 2 points I want to really underline. You spoke about diaspora being a constituency. Actually, the current government only looks at the diaspora as an ATM. They only look at the remittances. So while that diaspora is only an administrative constituency that was declared by the IEBC on paper for the sake of the, for the sake of the elections, So I didn't know it's not yet a constituency they promised, but it's not yet been done. The question is, we need to look at the legal aspect of it, and probably any president should just say, well, this is not going to happen because of A, B, C. That is more honest than promising and not doing it. So what I know is that we had a number that was within the constitution. The IBC was allowed to make us an administrative constituency. That having been said, the diaspora is also highly defranchised. We have on a few voting locations. Europe, for example, only has 2, and it's a continent. So we need, and that's the reason why we only had 10,000 voters in the whole of diaspora. We do not want to be reactive when something happens, and it's good that the diaspora came out to, to demonstrate and so stop killing Kenyans. We don't want you people killing Kenyans back home there. Stop abducting them. We never saw the first incidents when the president came out. He did not condemn the abductions. During the interview, he said he did not even, there was a question from the journalist asking about the abducted people. He said, no, but they were found, but he didn't condemn it. So we need to also be actively participating and find ways to really help with the situation before it gets worse and makes us react. And as such, the one feedback that I got from the diasporans is that they need that all the embassies in the diaspora are petitioned to be made polling stations. Then that way a diasporan is not flying in from Helsinki to come and register in Berlin, then fly in again to come and vote. No, that's our right. So once they do that, the next thing would be for every country, we need at least 6 mobile voting areas, because the last time the diaspora council, the diaspora department had mobile consular services in different countries, and it worked. So that is the number one demand that the diasporans are putting out there. They need it to come through. And the second point is the withdrawal of the bill. The bill is not yet withdrawn. I want to clear that, because the president has no power to do that. So that bill is going to really become a law in some days to come. Okay, so now Gandalf and then Maura.
Thank you much for the opportunity to speak. I think I would reiterate what Senator Mtata has said, that with the right constitution, anyone can run the country. Like you've mentioned before, the diasporans are a cash cow, partly to the government of Kenya. And as such, I think it is important that our concerns are addressed. Now, you, in any given business, anyone investing in Kenya or any other place, you want some sort of stability, you want some sort of surety, But in Kenya, you open a business, you have cartels left, right, and center. The rules are not clear. You don't know sometimes who is in charge and who isn't. So it is a mess that we have down there. That being said, if you look at the Western worlds, we've copied democracy from these people. In Germany, here you see, the Mittelstand and all this kind of stuff. Anyone can open a business, whether you are running a small bakery or whatever it is, but the rules are clear. The rules of the game are clear. The reason as to why I'm raising this, we have a major problem called nepotism in Kenya. We have bureaucrats that occupy offices with their relatives and friends. So, Senator, as you people legislate, as you people oversee whatever is going on, we will have presidents, prime ministers, or cabinet secretaries that will ignore court orders, because we have a system that have put people in place that ensure that the cartels run the show. We have a corruption problem that is not only institutional, but it is also becoming a cultural thing, partly. Our environment determines how we behave. Now, if you grew up with nipatie kitu kidogo, it becomes part of you. So this is a generational problem that we'll have to deal with. Yes. The one thing you notice out here, for example, is the honesty. I live in Germany, and these people are honest. That is the first thing you notice. Right from small kids, quite honest. They give you answers straight as you want it. Now we have to start changing from that aspect. We have to start being honest. It is good, and I'm happy that we have people like Omtata. We know that people like Omtata are not for sale, not unless otherwise. Yes, but our biggest challenge is, in as much as we want a constitution that works, we have a problem of nepotism. We have to acknowledge that Kenyans are quite tribal to the core. That is something that we have to acknowledge. And once we've acknowledged that, do we come up with laws? Do we have a constitution that addresses this directly? Yes. You can change people, you can change the government, all you want, but you have bureaucrats that are conduits to corruption in these institutions. Institutions are only as good as the people that occupy or people that sit in them. So we have a major problem in this kind of sector. And please, Senator, as you will be talking, kindly, if you could address that, or the legal minds that are in this forum. We have one of the best constitutions in Africa, and it's high time we start dominating. Okay,
Right.
I think my time is
Thank
up.
you.
I
Yes,
have
yes.
so many things. Thanks.
Yeah, no, but as you land, if I could just give you one, as you land, what is your message to President Ruto? Main message.
My message to President Ruto is quite simple. Fire the yes men. Yes. Stop advising yourself. Get some people that you can listen to, get people that you respect, and listen to them. Yes. Don't surround yourself with fools. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Esperance and Maura in that order, 3 minutes each.
Yeah, thank you very much. Be as brief as possible. So yeah, it's indeed the diaspora contributes about 3 to 4% of Kenya's total wealth. That is our GDP. So the diaspora is a very powerful community. And as we look at how things are, we all have a role to play. I keep on telling each and every person, you have a role to play as somebody who has influence. You come from a family, and I believe there are people who listen to you. I've been in this advocacy space for for the longest time possible. I'm 28 years old. You have a role to send your people to in public participation. It's one of the gifts that the 2010 Constitution gave us, and that is why we went to the streets this time, because the public were participating locally at grassroots, and our members of parliament do not listen to us. And that is the danger of buying the National Assembly. When you don't listen to us, we will go to the streets so that we can be heard from the streets, because clearly that is the language that the country understands. So my message to leaders here, my message to everybody here, I joined the president's X space, and most of the questions were really underwhelming. The issue of ethnicity, for us to be saying we are tribeless, it's so sad. we all should be proud of where we come from. But because things in this country have taken such a wrong tribal turn, we are not even embarrassed to say I come from this place. So we really have to hide under being tribeless to be listened to and to be heard, which is so unfortunate. The thing is, when you look at appointments, I want you to, if you check the dailies and look at any appointments since Felix Koskei, who should be gone home because of his retirement age, if what the president said is to go by. I mean, we have people, we have this issue of affirmative action. You realize that even people now from northern Kenya are more employed than people from Teso and other communities. For heaven's sake, we can't have 2 or 3 ethnic groups taking more than 75% of office spaces in this country. You can't tell me we don't have a Marakwet or, when we say Kalenjin, we're grouping people. We don't have a Marakwet who qualifies or a Teso or we really need to, there's still a lot of fight that needs to be done. The issue of ethnicity in our country needs to be addressed in public spaces and in government offices and all that. Another issue is we had the 2/3 gender rule that we are proud of as a people. But when we look at the executive of which the government has, out of 12,000 employees, I think the judiciary has reached have tried and gone above the 2/3 gender rule and they have 50-50. But when we look at the executive, out of 12,000 employees, they have apparently 3,000 females only. So we really have a long way to go. And if we are to look at Sabasaba March for Our Lives today, what I like is that this movement cannot be stopped. We just had a little bit of more confusion here on X. But when you go to TikTok, you go to other spaces and on the ground, I mean, we young people, we are still charged, and we're not stopping until we get change. We will be heard by at least 1 or 2 people. We have to save this country because it's gone to the dogs. We have to do whatever legal things we have to get things in order.
Thank you so much, Esperance. That's Esperance from spacing from New York. I think we lost you there, but you were done, right? Okay. Hillary, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Maj. I think
Esperance,
we lost that.
Yeah. Okay. Maura, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I think you can hear me. Okay, thank you, Marge, and thank you for hosting the space. And I want to touch on something from Marge you have touched about investing in Kenya. You have talked about RAD, cartels, and everything, but I want me to look from another angle. Cash is a king in any business. And if you look at the finance bill, there right now in Kenya, we have close to 650 billion pending bills. These are goods and services that have been supplied to the county government and to the national government. And these businesses are being supplied by small and medium enterprises that are the engine of any economy, whether in America, in Germany, in Kenya, or wherever it is. Now, if you look in that finance bill, there is no money that has been allocated to pay these pending bills. This about 650 billions. Now, there are a lot of us who are in abroad and we would like to come and invest in Kenya and solve some problems. I had talked about this some time ago about wanting to, because people are suffering, a lot of hospitals in Kenya are suffering for lack of oxygen. I decided to maybe to come home and open like 2 or 3 oxygen plants. And one is not, and these are not all that expensive to do. But now, you see that when you have such kind of business, you supply to the government, to the county government, and the national government, your oxygen and everything. Now, when you have such a delay, when you have such a delay when you see that kind of money and you are not being paid, now you really wonder what is happening. So my question to Senator Okiom that I here, you should ask us, can they legislate a law whereby if you supply goods and services to the county of the national government, you'll be paid within 60 days. Failure to which, or there should be a law that every day what you are owned by the government, the county governments, increases with a percentage of 2%. That way, the government will have enough discipline to pay us. And message to Ruto is he should just vacate the office. 2 years enough. He has done enough mess. Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Maura. Joining from Switzerland. Switzerland is represented. I see Okia Umtata has come back on. I'll give him the mic to answer the questions that have been presented until now. Okia, over to you. Hilary, you wanted to say something before Okia?
Yeah,
Please
as
go.
it comes in also Kabando is with us, and some people are saying that they can come to the mic.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mheshimiwa.
Over to you, Okia Umtata.
John Wakesa.
I will request that maybe the question be repeated. There's some have another attack. There are so many calls being made on my handset from numbers I don't know. So, but I think that first of all, to begin with the question of pending bills. Pending bills are things that are unconstitutional and unlawful. They should not be there. What has happened is that these pending bills are monies which have basically been stolen, whereby legitimate procurements are made, money is released from the treasury, and then there's something they call voiding. They are not paid. After the money is received by the entity which is procuring, they do what they call voiding on the IFMIS. And once they void this thing, they have the money, they divert the money to other things that have not been budgeted for. So you find that you have got a legitimate claim, has not been paid, but claims that were not in the budget are being paid. So largely these pending bills are monies that have been stolen from the public through dubious means. And we cannot repay them without necessarily going after those who are behind them. Because the law is very clear that you cannot procure without having money. And if you look at the audits that have been done, most of the pending bills are bills that were legitimately procured, but other things were allegedly paid for using the money that was released from the government coffers to pay those bills. So there's a huge area around that. And in fact, the matter is going to get worse because now there's a push by really from the accountants in Kenya saying that we should go from cash-based accounting to accrual-based accounting. Now, the problem with that is that it may work very well with companies and whatever. I don't know how they get their money in companies. But in the public sector, like the government of Kenya, we pass an appropriation, we pass the budget, summarized into an appropriation act, and each year has its own budget which has to be implemented. So how you come up with a mechanism to carry debts from 1 year and introduce them in the budget of the next year through accrual just because through an accounting system is what I don't understand. So we just need to go and be strict on our cash-based accounting and make sure that every year the budget is passed, is balanced, and nobody steps outside that budget. That way we shall be able to move forward. Otherwise, the question of pending bills, which came in largely with the introduction of the IFMI system, is a matter that should be arrested thereby through executive action, whereby procurement systems are abused. I did not get the other questions because I'm having too many interruptions on my phone, which is not unusual. I'm getting too many incoming calls.
Yeah, because you joined, and sometimes I think I'll take this offline. So at least
Maybe you can just tell me ask me the question that were asked, so I can then be able to answer them. Now that
yes.
I've
So the next question was, is there a way one can introduce a law that requires, for example, the national government to be paying their bills, when you have a tender with them, that it's specified that it's being paid within this amount of time, failure to which it's going to accrue some interest. Do you think this is something that would be realistic and would even be pushed through? I mean, it's going to help because Maura, who is speaking, is
it would not be an ideal thing to go for from where I sit, because right now I'm litigating a case whereby the Laikipia Air Base, somebody was given a contract for the Laikipia, was given a contract for the Laikipia Air Base. The interest alone has run into billion shillings. The interest that has been earned alone is about 3 times the principal amount. And what was happening, there was collusion between the people in government and the contractors, I think, to siphon off public money by not paying the debt, so that the interest that was awarded through an arbitration system could be paid. Since I intervened, they've paid almost they're almost through the principal before the case is heard, because I wanted people to be held responsible. But now, if you allow the interest to come into public funds, we are going to get a lot of such cases whereby supplies are done, and then unscrupulous public servants just say, okay, let us give this money here, the principal, and we continue earning the debt. We are continue earning the interest with the whoever is doing, whoever supplied. So it would really be a very risky system for me. The law as it stands right now is adequate. The law requires that you cannot procure when you don't have the money to pay for it. And so where government fails to pay for it, there should be consequences to that. And if you have to make any law, then it should be that procuring it, anybody who procures and doesn't pay is liable personally for that. I will agree with that. But to charge an interest on the taxpayer will be opening a very, very dangerous loophole in the law, whereby people will simply go into collude with the contractors, don't pay the principal, and the interest continues accumulating, and they keep on servicing the interest. That's what I would say. But the current law is adequate. Let us punish those who offend that law. Let us punish those. Let us punish those who procure and don't pay, or procure without the money, having the money to pay for the procurement. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okia Mtata, and that's why we always love having you on board, because you give a different perspective. Of course, the perspective you talk about, I really understand that this is the way it's going to be twisted to work, where they're just holding the money and getting further money from the interest. But the question remains to the president, if he's listening, because if I'm a diasporan and my money is gonna be put to stuck in Kenya, and Zambia is asking me to go and put it there, I'm gonna put it in Zambia, So they should also find a way of implementing the laws that are already in place, like you say, to make sure that diasporans have more confidence in investing in Kenya, because that is what they preach, but the situations is not really helping
I
us.
fully agree with you that the rule of law is on its deathbed in Kenya. We have got beautiful laws, but nobody is implementing them. Nobody is obeying them. And that's why we need, when we talk of a change of leadership, it should be a change of attitude to the law. If we just implemented the laws that Kenya has, beginning with the constitution and any other laws that are aligned to it, this country can be turned into a developed country overnight. But as long as we ignore the law, we hurt so many people. Genuine people get hurt. And I know of genuine investors who, because of this business of avoiding the IFMIS procurements and their money is diverted, have been bankrupted. There was this lady in, I think it was in Laikipia or somewhere, she committed suicide. So she had supplied the county government genuinely, and the county government had diverted her money and paid somebody else. And there she was stuck with a bank loan that was eating up everything she had. So it's really thing, but we must get people who will implement the law. We must implement the law. There's no other way for Kenya. If we implement the laws we have, the law is very clear that don't procure and you don't have any money. You are required to pay. When you procure and you don't pay, it means you did not have the money when you are procuring. That procurement officer should be punished for breaking the law, but they don't get punished. And that's why, again, you are having pending bills in billions of shillings. Why didn't we have pending bills under Moi? That's the question. Why didn't we have pending bills under Kenyatta 1? Why are we seeing pending bills beginning to appear under Kibaki, maturing under Uhuru and Ruto? That's the question we should ask ourselves. It's because we had, yeah.
Go on, just go on.
It's because we came in with this system whereby we had this thing called the IFMIS, we went digital and what have you. Then some craft fellows are abusing it and denying genuine suppliers a chance. You make you tender, you go into a tender, you win the tender, everything's cleared, the money is released to pay you. Then the paying officer does not pay you, goes and procures somebody else and pays them. Then you who was genuine, whose documents were used to get the money from the state, remains with a pending bill. That such a fellow should go to jail. Why are we negotiating with these characters? Why are they still in office? And it's happening across the land with no accountability. That's how I'd put it. Let us implement the law and deal with these people ruthlessly. If we get a dictatorship of the law, Kenya will be saved. Without a dictatorship of the law, Kenya will not be saved. Everybody from president to the citizen must be subject to the law and must suffer the consequences of the law. If the president is not wearing a seatbelt, a constable on the beat should be able to arrest him and hold him accountable for violating a traffic rules. If we get to that point, this country will deliver on the promise it has for its people. And that's all.
Thank you so much, Ukia Mtata. And I think the rule of law answers a lot of questions that were sent your way. Hannah also asked the question about I think in your back in your place or your region, and I think that just answers it, because her concern was, if you are fighting to get the things you need, what about the common mwananchi? But as you say, if the law is followed, then this common mwananchi doesn't even need to go through that. And that also answers our questions with the fake titles that are all over, yes.
And also, I may just add that it's not just in my country that I've been unable to get documents. Even in parliament, there is this thing that what we say, whereby the last years of Uhuru, they came up with a scheme to steal from the public, where they came up with this thing called the Kenya Development Corporation, and used an archaic law in our rules, a law which was meant to have expired with the colonial government, but was still in our books, which incorporated the Minister for Finance as a corporation, so that the British Crown could transfer assets that belong to the Republic of Kenya to the new state. That was done. Now, using that law, Ukuri Atani, who was the Minister for Finance, constituted himself into a corporation and decided to form a corporation called the Kenya Development Corporation, and using a gazette notice, transferred assets from all the other state agencies to this corporation. Similar to what Ruto was saying, that he has dissolved state corporation. How do you dissolve a state corporation which has got an act of parliament? So they did that and they brought these things in, but they forgot to do one thing, that to validate a gazette notice, legal notice, you need to take it to parliament within 7 days of the sitting of parliament. They didn't do that. So I've been trying to go to get parliament, to get the clerk of the National Assembly through the table office to write to me and say that they received this document or they did not receive that document. They have refused. I know they did not receive them. I've checked the register in the table office. The minister never, Ukuri Atan never tabled that legal notice of his. So it was a nullity, and therefore the Kenya Development Corporation has got no legal framework that it has it, but it has taken all the assets from the tourism industry, things like ICDC, tourism, Kenya Tourism Development Board, whatever. All the things have been taken out there. All the assets, some of it have been stripped and sold for a song to private investors. My attempts to arrestees are being frustrated because I just cannot get a letter from the clerk of the National Assembly confirming that the minister never tabled this document to get validation of parliament before it could take effect. So these are the kind of things that we deal with. So if I'm a senator and a clerk who is a junior to me defies me simply because he's well connected and he cannot give me documentation, and state assets are being stolen, even right now, the KDC is disposing of a massive assets, the tourism industry, and they're being sold to people who are networked. And then KDC itself is registered at the Attorney General's office by a private lawyer. The Attorney General is not involved. All the directors are private people. So how do private people register a company and transfer state assets to that company? State assets worth 500 billion shillings to that company just by a gazette notice, which is not even tabled in parliament to be validated. You know, that is the mess we have in Kenya. And you cannot get a letter just for you to go to be able to move the court to stop it. So there we are, rule of law. And the country is just in a total mess. I think I'm getting a bit angry, so that's enough.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm glad today at least you were able to speak. They let you speak. It's not like at least I think we've shouted so much anytime they're taking you off, and so please do stay on for other questions. So as we proceed now,
I have to undergo a medical procedure.
yes,
I have to undergo an X-ray and MRI. And my doctor, I see, is now standing outside here.
mm-hmm.
So I need to get into the theater.
Oh,
if you'll allow me, I'll catch up later.
you are a bad patient. Are you spacing before you get into the okay? We wish you all the best, and then
Okay. But I'll come
but
back when I'm done. I'm through with the X-ray and MRI.
no, it's just the X-ray and MRI. Okay, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. I thought, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. So Shayla, Innocent, Gregory, and Simba Moja in that order.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Sheila Nyangara Nyanchara. I'm not in the diaspora, but I do have relatives in the diaspora, and we have tried to do a few things. This is my first time on this space, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I am so shocked by what Okia has said. You know, when we say kuna connections, I'm connected, that is what we don't understand. We don't understand the structure of the law process, how the policy works, and that is we can do, and that's what I was talking about. I actually have so much, but I know I have a short period of time, so let me try and put everything together. Before I go on, there is this someone called Dr. Thomas Sowell said it is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. And I think that's one thing that we are having a challenge with in Kenya right now. We are all, not all, most of us are determined to having a Kenya that works for everybody. We are determined to having the health system, education, investment opportunities that work for every Kenyan. And when we look at the structure of Kenya, we have the government, and then we have the electorate. Yeah, the electorate is us, the people. In the government, we have the legislature, judiciary, and executive. And I feel like all these three are compromised, and only the electorate is not compromised. Why do I say this? When the president came on the space on Twitter, I was not actually for it. I tried. I was one of the people. I did not feel like he needed an audience, because he has been lying consecutively, and there's nothing that we have seen in action so far. So I did report all the ones that he was trying on his space until, we had the unfortunate event, and, we ultimately just had to listen, because you cannot, if he's saying something, you must be informed so that you have a point of critique or a point of understanding. So number one, I will start with the legislature. Not even when he came on the space and he was told about the police brutality, he said that he's not a dictator, and the legislature is independent, and the executive is independent, and the judiciary is independent. But it is not. It is very clear, because he went on to say, throughout the space, when he was asked, why did you let the Molo person. Yes? Am I out of order?
No,
I see.
try to land in the next 1 minute. So allow me to
Okay.
explain this to other speakers who are coming. Also, so we have 3 minutes each. That means that after 2 minutes, I'm going to raise my hand. So as you speak, be looking at my profile. When you see a raised hand, that means you have 1 minute to land. So that because we still have so many people requesting for the mic. Shayla, please land in 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I also have another space. I want to inform people about the road maintenance levy that Burkomen brought about. I think it was they were supposed to increase the cost of fuel and everything in the finance bill, but since it did not go through, we got to know of the levy on 23rd June, and since then, that's when the media came out on 24th, 25th. Thereabout, after we finished the finance bill, I tried to sensitize people about the road maintenance levy. On 5th July, on Friday, was the last time we were supposed to send emails. We do not trust that they read those emails. So Monday is when we're now supposed to go to those 9 counties where the Kenya, the Ministry of Roads has different headquarters. So that is already limited. So on Monday, if you're on ground and you're a Kenyan, on my page, I've really tried to advocate for it. The road maintenance levy was adjusted in 2016 to 18 shillings. The Minister of Roads wants to increase it by 7 shillings. We all know the adverse effects of increasing fuel at the pump. That means the cost, it's like jumping from the frying pan of the finance bill into the fire of the road maintenance levy. Everything will go up. Transport will go up. Our food prices will go up. If you're running a business, the cost of operations will go up. So if you're in Kenya, please, if you're in Nairobi, let's meet at Transcom House tomorrow. So as I finalize, the legislature is very, very compromised. The president did say that he's mentoring young people on our money, on taxpayers' money. He's mentoring the Molo person. That he called him and said, "Oh, you spoke badly," when he was saying bread is bringing diabetes. He also said Kimani Chungwa is his friend, and he talked back. He tried to talk him at the back of the tent, and he's mentoring even Karen Nyamu. Did you know Karen Nyamu is the deputy in the National Defense Committee of Parliament? What when we start with policy, the people who are supposed to make these decisions, this goes back to what I was saying. So I think we need to be very clear with the people that we bring, and we need to have a lot of civic education. Then lastly, into the diaspora, I think there is a weak structure for diaspora to be informed about investment opportunities, because that's the only way we can grow, even to provide employment for the young people. Because we are in a rush, so I'm just trying to point out everything. So I think that is a challenge. And I don't know about our consular services. If here in Kenya, we're already facing challenges with the consular services trying to connect with our family and friends abroad, I can imagine what those ones who are abroad are facing outside. So we really need to have, I think, a streamlined communication, and also a structure in which a policy structure in which we can demand for accountability. And I think this is the beginning. It's not over. Our country is wrong in every other way. That's why I think we are dispersed. You say, what can we start with?
Yeah.
Do we start with foreign policy?
Yeah.
Do we start with thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks.
I think I will land there.
Thanks, Sheila.
Thanks
Let's
so much.
go by Innocent, Gregory, and Simba in that order. 3 minutes each.
Hello, how you all doing, comrade? This is Innocent. I don't know if you can hear me.
Loud and clear. Please go on.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for hosting this forum, and I want to actually take this time to thank Umtata, who has been doing an extremely beautiful work ever since, not just before this revolution. But I don't have much to say. The one thing that I would like to say is that the last speaker that spoke said that the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary is perhaps corrupt, and she's right about that. But I would like to add that actually Kenyans themselves are very corrupt, including me, you, and everybody else. We've always had a culture that I think slowly but surely. You can even see it on pictures from years back when there were some laws and orders, but we don't follow laws. Honorable Mtata touched to that. I think we don't follow laws, and because of that, we cannot even enforce the beautiful laws that he's saying we have. My biggest concern about our country is that we are now being faced by an issue of lack of employments for the young people that we've produced. Well educated, well informed, actually some of the best outside here in the world. You've seen the Kenyan workforce around the world and noticed that they're absolutely sharp. and are always top tier. But the government is not supposed to provide work for people. I mean, they can do just as much, but work is provided by the private sector. And as long as we have the banking system that we have that seriously need reforms, we are not going to see these employments we want. The small people we see every day need to be they need to be financed. There's need for reforming loans and standards of loans. The rates of interest that people are paying in Kenya is exorbitant. It cannot allow the country to grow. It cannot allow people to create employments for most of these young people we see. So that is generally my biggest concern at the moment. I think there's a lot to be said. I didn't want to go too far. I do think this revolution was sparked by a financial issue, but really there's been a lot of other things in our minds that we've wanted to change for a long time. I think the Kenyan mind really, really needs to change in terms of following laws and being a moral society generally. Above that, all I can say is continue the work, good work. The Gen Z, we're really, really proud of what you've done, but do not forget to include every other single person in the country, because if we start to divide by just being a small group of Gen Zs and not include the rest, come 2027, we'll be in for a frying pan. So good work, Gen Zs. We are very proud of what you've done. Continue including and continue investigating what can be done and what can't be done. We are here supporting you. We are very proud. Thank you very much for everybody agitating in this space.
Thanks so much, Innocent. That's Innocent spacing from the US. The next person who we had on the mic was spacing from Qatar, but no, Bahrain, but he actually dropped. Please pick the mic again. There's another person also who's in Qatar. There's another one in Thailand, because we also want Asia Pacific to join. It's getting late, very late on their end. So please, we don't want to discriminate against. I don't know why that speaker actually dropped when he was waiting so much. Let's go by Simba and then Jerry. No, before Simba, I just wanted to, because highlight what Innocent said about the interest rate. Guys, if you want a mortgage, I know people don't want to hear somebody saying in Germany, but you live in Germany, so should you say you live in Mars? So in Germany and other countries, the mortgage is below 3%. 3%. Yeah? Sometimes you get even 1%. Try to get that in Kenya. The banks are stealing from people. They have these women groups that start like the community based. But before you know, they are going to be connecting with the banks. And many years ago, when I investigated, I found out that the interest rates that they were giving to those women, yeah, were even higher, because what they do for the women who are not working, these women cannot go directly to the banks. So these groups, they come with fancy names in the village and say, no, we are going to approach a bank for you, so you just be our member. So you see, these poor citizens are coming to the groups, but the group at the back or behind the tent is going to cut a deal with the bank, and you find the loans being really more expensive. At this point, I would like to point out that Faulu Banking and Kenya Women, you know what you people are doing on the ground. Please come out and verify if those women groups here that you're really giving loans that are very expensive, if that is a community thing that you're doing. So Innocent, you're bringing a good point. The message to the president at this point: enable your people, enable them to have those loans, cheap loans. Simba Moja, then Jerry.
Hey, I hope you guys are having a great evening. I'm actually on this space while I'm out and about with my two sons. I hope the audio is okay. How's the audio?
It's all right, yeah.
It's good.
It's
It's
right.
good,
Okay,
bro. It's good.
okay, yeah. So basically, my before I kick off, I just want to say what a direct message to the president. People need a hand up, not handouts. That is the central message first before I even go further. People just need a hand up, not a handout. People need an enabling environment to invest in the country, and people need a place where they can bring their skills to play in a very creative fashion. So my thing is this: the Kenyan diaspora is over 3 million people. That's it's a constituency on its own, but that has also been discussed to a large factor. But if you look at the contribution, it's far bigger than tourism, it's far bigger than the horticulture, It's far bigger than a bunch of other sectors of the economy. So we need to be taken seriously. I've always said that over and over again. The government always tends to want to borrow money. They always want to borrow. They always want to finance the country using bills and so on. Have they ever thought about floating a diaspora treasury bill? Just float, trying to raise funds from the diaspora. Because if you look at this, like 3 million strong, we could definitely do a lot more for the country than what we are doing at the moment. But the most critical thing that I look at Kenya is there's an absolute there's no rule of law completely. It's the country is falling apart on so many levels, and people are losing trust. I have friends who wanted to invest in Kenya, and every time they hear whatever is going on, people want to back down. I have Kenyans who are living overseas, and every time they think about retiring, it's always like, Kenya, yeah, I don't think I want to retire in that chaos. I was in Nigeria a few years ago, I think 1.5 years ago, and what I experienced there is like that is the same direction Kenya is also going to. It's a nightmare where you meet corruption straight from the airport, people trying to extort you straight from the airport, insecurity, all these kinds of things. It's getting out of hand. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Simba, we can hear you. It's only that we're
Yeah.
saying that wind up, bro.
Yes,
Wind up,
we can
wind
hear
up,
you.
Yeah,
wind up.
I'm winding up really quickly. So my thing is this: if the president really wants to show that he's taking us seriously, he needs to start off by taming corruption in the country and increasing investor confidence in the country. Because us in the diaspora, we are very much interested in coming back and investing in the country. A lot of us are invested in Kenya emotionally and financially, but we are unable to really connect, because there's always that feeling that every time the country might flare up and everything might go in flames. So that is just my central message to the president: hand up, not hand out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maj, you want
No,
something?
just say something.
Before you come
Go
in,
on,
Maj,
go on.
thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. We want to remind you that we have so many requests. So when you're done, it is important uh, to go out to the speaker so that we can add other people. Number two, we have 3 minutes. Everybody. Number three, keep networking. Keep follow each other for us to network wherever we are as Kenyans, so that when we have these conversations, at least you get a reminder early. Maju is coming in. Bon I.
Let's have Gregory and then Bon I, and then there's a speaker who's been requesting and falling from the US. I think if you can hear me, please come back again. So Gregory, Bon I, and then RB Munga in that order.
Hi, greetings all. Sorry, my phone just dropped off. I don't know why. I'm Mwema Gregory calling in from Middle East in Precision Kingdom of Bahrain. And my take onto this is I would urge kindly the government to, first of all, open room for skill transfer and opportunity transfer, because there is vast opportunities over here in the diaspora, and they need to be tapped by the government. Another thing is, I don't know why we're going out to borrow money if we can be able to open something known as a consortium for agriculture and other export opportunities here in diaspora to be linked with Kenya. For example, I'll give you a short statistics because of time. We see that like Jordan itself just exported to Kingdom of Bahrain, which is just a quarter of Kenya, tomatoes worth 81.3 million Kenya shillings within 30 days only. I can go back to something like onion, a normal commodity that we have on base. India and China and Oman both combined, they exported to Kingdom of Bahrain, which is a quarter of Kenya. It is 83.2 million Kenya shillings within 30 days. So with the agricultural opportunities outside here, in terms of what they need, because they rely on import of everything, we can be able to service most of the debt that we have in the country. So that is something that we need to put on the table. And also, I would urge us as the diasporans, also and youth, to be able to open something known as the diaspora or the youth chamber of commerce, so that we can be able to subsequently tap into the opportunities and empower each other. Thanks and thanks. I shall keep on holding to listen more. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for keeping the time. And Bon Ai, you're next. And then Munga, then Stradowski, in that order. Bon Ai? He dropped. He dropped, and
I can't say.
he dropped. Let me get on. Then we go to Munga. Munga and then Stradowski. Munga, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Sure.
Okay, go on. And start by telling us from what part of the diaspora you're logging into.
To go?
Yeah, please go.
Oh, okay. So my name is Robert. Actually, I'm not in the diaspora. I'm in Kenya. I studied abroad, but I came back to Kenya voluntarily. I studied in Canada, but I'm back in Kenya. But I still have family members who are based in the diaspora. And actually, on my return to Kenya, I had a very bad experience with the Kenyan embassy. That's the Kenyan High Commission. I was not very happy with the way they treated me. There are good people and bad people, of course, in every service. But my contribution has mainly to do with the approach that needs to be taken with respect to transforming Kenya. I know there's a lot of galvanization, a lot of coalition around the specific hashtag of Ruto must go. And in as much as I support this cause, I don't think that it's as useful as looking at the key issue. And the key issue is that we have good laws which are in place. We have laws which are very solid, but they're just not followed. And I think Okia put it the right way, is that what we need to do is that we need to hold people to follow the law. And if that is done, then everything else will fall into place. The reason we have activism is that people can break the law and get away with it, and nothing happens to them. And this has been going on since before independence. And the people who inherited this country at independence just continued with the same practices, and we've allowed it to happen. And I think what the events of the past few weeks have managed to actually shock government that people are not stupid. They can see what's happening. They've been holding these things in their hearts, and it's going to change. So my
no, but just as
contribution,
as you finish. Okia Mtata has said we need the rule. We need to implement the rules. Yeah. The
yes.
regulations, which you also agreed to. Yeah. But the question is, let me give you an example. If you have malaria, then the thing is you need to take anti-malarials for you to recover. So if you don't take those anti-malarials, you're going to die. So what options are you giving people? Should they die while waiting to take the drugs, because we are saying the drugs are there, the medication are there, because the laws are there, they're not being implemented, and the symptoms are being felt by the citizens. That's why they came out there. So as you finalize in the last minute, could you kindly also tell us how we can mitigate through that as we patiently wait? Because if they were implementing what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't be having people being so jobless and not, even caring about their life. They will say they're even dead when they're not, don't go to the street. It doesn't make any difference. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely, you need to have a concrete plan of action which impacts day-to-day life. And what I would say to that is uh, the thing that made the Reject the Finance Bill movement successful, I'll say, although that the jury is still out on that, according to me, was the fact that we picked a specific issue and we focused on it. And all the pressure was applied on that issue. And the same approach can happen for the most pressing issues that we see. Of course, there will be fragmentation between the different groups. And that's why I was saying, although Ruto must go is a very emotive and it's a hashtag that galvanizes emotion, it might not be so practical from the point of view of achieving a better standard of life for people on the ground. However, you can take something like the fertilizer scandal. We know that the principals who were in charge of that ministry when the scandal happened are still in office, and there was no political responsibility that they took, and they're just sitting pretty in office while everybody is chasing very many different fragmented goals. So the movement or the feelings that people have to be focused. For instance, if everybody said, Ruto, fire this guy tomorrow, otherwise we're going to shut down the country, he would have to go.
Yeah.
We don't need promises.
But as
We
you,
don't need
kindly
promises. We
finish.
don't
I
need.
don't want to sound
We
like I'm
approach
interrupting
issues.
you, but kindly land, please.
Sure. So for me, my prescription would be let people pick issues one at a time. And as I sign off, I'd also like to greet all the NSIS agents who are in this group and the police people and political operatives. You're also our fellow Kenyans. And at the end of the day, when Kenya works, it also works for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Munga. Let's go to Stradowski and then Bernard Kavu, and let's keep 3 minutes each because we still find a lot of people want to, we still have a lot of requests on the mic, and yeah, thanks. Stradowski?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be very short. Thanks, Maj and Hillary for hosting us. And thanks, Honorable Okia, for joining. I will just say straight that Kenya is a very rich country, extremely rich, because the rate at which it's being devoured or robbed, it could have fallen, but we are still standing. It's not about how much we get, but it's about how do we spend. So I've noted down some few key areas which I would like to point out. One, the politicians or the political class in Kenya, the salary they are earning, I don't think there's any justification. Even president himself, his salary is about 3.5 million, yet he's living in State House. He has everything paid for him. What is the justification for that high amount of salary? Because in euros, that is about 30,000 euros. The Finnish president, where I live in Helsinki, earns less than 10,000 euros, which is about 1 million. And he doesn't use state vehicles, if not on official duty. I meet him in the shop market walking on foot. And then two, the allowance that is paid to the political class. Unfortunately, but true to say, the salary of the MPs, I think, is somewhere between 500 to 700,000, but the net they go with at home is about 1.7 million. So how can allowance be double the salary? Allowance should be much, much less than salary. There's also this thing called mileage claim by the members of parliament. It is something that needs thorough auditing because in most cases, there was some article going that some lady Florence claimed over 40,000 kilometers. So we know where the parliamentarians come from, their distance between Nairobi to their constituencies. So this, I think, we should have an upper limit. I also believe that Kenya is overrepresented politically, so I don't know if there is a solution to that. And when it comes to policy, somebody asked about education. I will not touch in that, but what I see in Europe, especially in Scandinavian countries, and I think it happens in Germany and others too, is that politicians should not be allowed to talk on professional issues they don't understand. The honest truth, some of our members of parliaments, they might be educated, but not in those areas. So what I see here done is that we have professional working groups under the ministries, and then those professionals working groups are the ones which come with the policy. So if it's health, you should have professional health professionals making policies which govern the health sector. If it's education, you do the same thing. So this is just my few cents which I wanted to add, and also just now to learn a message to Ruto is that on his address to the nation, he talked of canceling the first lady, second lady, that is the wife to the vice president, will be scrapped, and the CAS. But what he didn't say is that can he quantify how much will be saved with that, and how much money the government will get back, and where this money will be used. Thank you. That is all I
Thank
wanted.
you so much. That's a Kenyan in Finland, Stradowski. That's a diaspora voice from Finland. Thanks for that. We now move to the UK diaspora. We have Bernard Cavu. Over to you, Bernard.
Thank you very much, this is really great. This is a good space for us in diaspora. I'll try. 3 minutes is really not enough for the things.
I know. It's so
you are really mean on that, but I'll try. I'll try my best. So to start with the Gen Z, and I want to echo what my colleague and respected friend David Orgega said. The Gen Z is really a great movement. And yes, they go by tribeless, leaderless, and all that. But for any great organization, structure is very important. And I want to speak from the diaspora point. In the UK, I observed that I didn't know we had so many youth, Gen Z, really. And in the US, Ireland, I watched Australia, everywhere where there were demonstrations, there is a big chunk. And now I'm talking about diaspora. It's time there is some kind of coordination between the Gen Zs on the ground in Kenya and those in diaspora. Why is that important? Because the Gen Zs in diaspora would be more enlightened into progressive ideas from the countries they've lived into. And also when it comes to funding and so on and so forth. So I'm just saying to them, it's time they came up with a structure and incorporated not just those who are in Kenya, but those who are in diaspora, because this is a diaspora forum we are speaking on. So that's the first point. The other point is something you mentioned, Mike, about voting and so on and so forth. It is really unfortunate the IEBC is not active now, because here in diaspora, we've been fighting for voting rights forever. And we made progress from having 5 voting countries in 2017 to 12 voting countries in 2022. And now it's very unfortunate that IEBC should be busy now expanding this number, because we want more countries to be able to participate in 2027. And that's not happening because there is no IEBC. So this is really a matter of concern. The same way Gen Z and the previous speaker said they picked an issue, the finance issue. People focused on that. I think diaspora need to pick an issue, the issue of voter registration and voting. We need to pick that as an issue and work and move with it. Unless we do that, we'll just be all over the place, as you said, fragmented, each one pulling their own direction. And we are not heading anywhere. We need to pick an issue and say, we need IEBC to be in place. And we need them to start the progressive. What is promised in the Constitution is that there should be progressive registration and enabling of voting in diaspora. We need this to happen now, not to wait until 2026 or 2027. Then IEBC comes running and says, okay, we are going to add 2 more countries, start registering, and then we end up with 10,000 votes. And they say, oh, diaspora just talks and they don't vote. We don't want that. We want this process to begin now. So my message to the president really is very simple. Create, let's have the IEBC constituted, and let's get the diaspora matter addressed. We want every country in diaspora where there is a Kenyan consulate or embassy to be able to register and vote in 2027. It's a very simple and clear message. And I'm asking that everyone in diaspora, let's make this our issue now. Instead of pulling all these thousands of issues which we cannot focus on, let's focus on one thing. Let's get every Kenyan to be enfranchised. So come 2027, we can vote. What are we talking about here? We're talking about 3-4 million votes. With 3-4 million votes, you are kingmakers. You can make a president. I'm just telling you, do the math. The last election was decided by 200,000 votes. If we have 2 million, 3 million votes in diaspora, it means we will be the swing vote in that election, and we will be listened to. So all these cries we are making, we can cry until the cows come, but unless we have something that can make a difference, that can make an impact, nobody's gonna listen. So I am saying, Mr. President, please get us IEBC, get it up and running. Let them engage with diaspora. Let us start voter registration in diaspora, and let it be done by people who live in diaspora. You don't need to spend money sending people to come and spend a month staying in hotels in the UK, registering voters and all that. We've got Kenyans who live in diaspora. Let them own this process and let us do it right. So that's my simple message. 3 minutes is not really great, but that's all I have to say. And Gen Z, I'm saying, do not just be selfish and think your movement. Yes, it was in Kenya, very successful, but you got a lot of support from diaspora. Incorporate your diaspora. We have what we call Diaspora County 48. I am the governor of Diaspora County. Every Kenyan who lives abroad belongs to Diaspora County 48. I'm asking you guys, let's stop this bickering, infighting in diaspora. We all belong to one county, Diaspora County 48. Let's join in. Let's have one agenda, and let's take it home the way Gen Z took the finance bill home and they landed it. Let's land our own county. Let's be able to run our own affairs in diaspora as our own county. I can see the hand is up, March. I'm just saying, thank you very much. Whether you are an organization, whether you are an individual, we are not saying dissolve your organization. We are saying if you live in diaspora, you automatically belong to Diaspora County 48. Your vote in 2027 will be counted under Diaspora County 48. Let's make it count. That's my message. My name is Bernard Cavu. I live in London, United Kingdom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavyu. The matter on registration is really one that all diaspora associations are keen on. We need to do that. There is a petition involved. We cannot leave that in the hands of IBC because they interpret it differently. Then they will come and tell us that, we are adding you one country. What the demands of the diasporans are is that every... somebody has the mic on, if they could mute.
Hello?
John and Collins. Collins, I see you. You're going to go. But please mute your mic. So that every consular is made a polling station. Let me mute Collins a bit. The consulars that we have. And then they should have at least 6 modular voting, opportunities for diasporans. So that is the call that a lot of diasporans who are speaking sent to me. That's the message that I'm putting out there. And many diaspora organizations, including the County 48 and KDA and the one for David again, all of them, and even from Finland, they're also diaspora organizations. All of them want to vote, but they have to petition, and it has to be made law before there's a stop, before there's some months before the next elections. You cannot create any laws anymore. So once we give this message, we hope that it's that effective. And thank you so much, Kavyu. Anna wanted to chime in. Anna is she's also like a co-host. So Anna, please chime in. Then I see from the Iceland diaspora. I'm putting on the mic in a bit.
Yes, thank you much. For me, to be quite honest, is simply this system has failed us. And if Tata comes back, and I keep butchering his name, Tata, the senator comes back, he would tell you the deep how things are bad, and that it's not only in his county but widely all other counties. I think our focus has been on to the money that is being given to the counties and how it's spent, whereby there is money that the counties are collecting. The law says that they shouldn't open accounts with some certain banks, but this is what they do. They open accounts in certain banks. Those money do not go to the county coffers, and it goes to individuals' pockets, some politicians' pockets. So we have money that is being drained from both ends. That is why you see a lot of counties are frustrated. But the concentration is on the remittance that is given to the county, disbursement of money, rather than the money that is collected at the county level. I would love much if you could ask him on that. So for me, the message is very simple. Unless things get working on the ground, me as a diaspora, I don't see a chance of making any difference. I can scream, I can help, I can elevate people's on the ground's voices, but unless things work on the voices on the ground, we need the system to function on the ground. So my message is simply this: Ruto must go. We must fix the system to deliver for Kenyans. Thank you much.
Thank you so much. Collins, John and Peter, Ruto must go in a title, and then Paul. But I hope for the speakers there, I hope you're in the diaspora. If you're not in the diaspora, kindly please let's have diasporans speak first. We don't want to discriminate against you, but we're going to open a Q&A session for you guys in a few. So Collins, start by telling us what part of the diaspora you are. Then John, Peter, then Ruto must go, and Paul. Ruto Masco, let me check your name. Oh, your name is only Ruto Masco. Okay. Over to you, Collins. I think I muted you. Let me unmute. Is it? No, I think try to unmute and speak, Collins. Okay, Collins is not able to speak. John, then Peter, in that order.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, John, hold on. Collins, let's go.
Hello, this is Collins.
Yes, from which part of the diaspora?
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
Oof, I can't hear anything. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Yeah, okay.
Just let me change my device. Just a second.
Collins, we can hear you. Can you ask Collins?
Yeah, I can hear Collins.
Okay, let me talk now.
Okay.
Okay, can I talk now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Collins. Go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, first of all, I thank you so much, Marge, for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Collins Howard. I am in Botswana. I'm in diaspora in Botswana. And basically, first, I'd like to give a condolence message to all our heroes, the Gen Zs who lost their lives. In fact, they will go down history books that they fought for our country. The second freedom for our country was won by the Gen Zs. And I believe it will go down history book that they did something which not many of us could do, because as we are past that age. First of all, let me recommend something as a feedback to what can make our country better. Number one, our electoral system is wrong. In that, I'm in Botswana, and it's like a gem of Africa. It's like it's a country which, it's a small country basically, but it's doing so well within Africa. Why? We have a presidential system in Kenya whereby the president will amass a lot of people around him, and they go ahead to form cliques and to form all these alliances. So the country is always on this mood of politics. There's no time for the president to engage in building the country. So I think we need to change our system from presidential to parliamentary, which will be easy to control. Remember, the Orange Party, if we had a system like parliamentary system, could have won the election. But because people were rigging in those areas where they didn't have agents and all that, you find that it's a very complicated system, this presidential system. Number one, parliamentary system is control, and also we'll be holding our parliamentarians accountable. That's fine. We elected you on ground of 1, 2, 3, and because we elected you, have you delivered your manifesto? That's number one. Number two, for us to be able to make our country better and turn it, to be the Switzerland of Africa, the way Botswana is right now, we need to consider nationalizing our mineral resources. Let our minerals be owned by the country so that everybody can benefit. If we find gold in a given area, let that gold be owned by the country, be exploited, and be sold so that the country can be able to develop itself. Botswana, they got diamonds, and the diamond is not owned by any single person. It's owned by the country, and the same diamonds, it's sold, and we have got free education, we've got free healthcare, we've got best roads, we've got everything. So I think we need to change a system whereby nobody owns resources, mineral resources in the country. Let them be nationalized and let them be, used for the development of the country. Not a few people in the clique, a few people will be owning it. Marge, I can see your hand lifted. I'm just running up. Last point. We need to have a system run by technocrats so that government people should not be fighting for the positions. Technocrats to be independent running the country, let politicians run political issues. I think that's the point I can give, and I believe you shall give me a chance once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to hear from you from the diaspora in Botswana. And so, yes, we'll give you another chance. Let's proceed now with Peter and then Martin, and begin by telling us from which part of the diaspora you are dialing in.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm currently in the United Arab Emirates, the famous Dubai. So I thank you for this forum, and I thank you for the Gen Zs who are fighting hard to rescue our country. And thank you for everybody who is supporting them all over. My point is just to the president, just do total overhaul of your system. Because if the system is not working, nothing will work, because it is all corrupt. We need a system which works. Where we are now is total shut down everything in government, because where you go, there is no service. Everywhere you go, there is no service. Money is stolen left, right, and center. This thing, we need to do away with it. I can give you a simple analogy of a family, whereby if you are a father, you have given money to your son to spend. You know what you told him to go and buy. Definitely, if he did not buy those items, then he has to tell you where he took the money or what else he did with the money. So the government knows who is stealing money. They cannot tell you just money disappeared. Everybody is given money in his ministry. He should be accountable and account for every penny that he was given in that ministry. If somebody, we know who was given money, they know. The president receives money from outside and he knows how he distributes it all over. So they cannot tell us they don't know who is stealing money. They cannot be telling us they don't know who money, how it disappeared. They know. They know who took the money. They know who is stealing what. They know who is investing in his own business. That's what, it is simple as that. They don't stop lying to us that they don't know where money is going. This is a cartel system from the presidents all the way down to the counties everywhere. They know where this money is going. It is simple and clear. Thank you very much, and I appreciate.
I think I cut a minute short. You take 1 minute, because when I'm raising my hand, you have a minute left. Just so in general, what's your message for Ruto?
My message is for him to take account for everything, because he knows who is stealing. He knows where the money is. He should get those people in jail. And that's all we need. We need clear, total overhaul of this system, because we know it is corrupt. And he knows who is stealing. He cannot tell us he doesn't know. He knows. He knows who is taking money. They know. They know themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a voice, a diaspora voice from the UEA. We move to the Iceland diaspora. Paul, over to you.
Hi, can you hear me?
I cannot hear Paul. Hillary, can you hear him?
Yeah, we can.
Can
We
you hear
can
me?
hear him.
Okay, then let him finish, and then you guys alert me when he's done. Yeah.
Go on. Take
Yeah.
the mic.
Can
Paul, you're breaking up. If you could fix your internet, probably. You're breaking up. Marge, Paul is breaking up. Maybe give it to the second person.
Yeah, we can't hear Paul.
Okay.
I think.
So let's
Paul,
let's go by Marty.
You can leave and come back.
Okay. Let's go by.
Okay.
Marge, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right.
Yeah.
Paul is back, I think.
Okay. Then finish with Paul, and then you let me know, Hillary and Anna.
Okay. No, it's done. Well, Martin, go ahead. Martin, go ahead. Paul even is dropped.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hi. Hopefully you can hear me.
Loud and clear. Please proceed.
Yeah, so I'm Martin, based in the United Kingdom. I just want to start by saying that I'm very proud of what Gen Z have been doing in trying to turn around our country. Because frankly, some of us, are out here because of issues that they have raised, issues to do with corruption, immorality in the society, lack of ethics and stuff like that. The point I'm trying to raise is that unless we have a correct diagnosis of the problem that the country is facing, then we will not get anywhere. And I'm not going to make it rosy for anyone, but I think Gen Z, what they have done is just a start, but they need to do that by looking at the mirror and not just the young youngsters themselves. I have 2 Gen Zs in my house, but every Kenyan needs to look through the mirror because the problem is just bigger than that. The problem we have is a general society issue of lack of ethics, of love for corruption that we need to face, as a society. And without doing that, we are not going anywhere. So my message to the youngsters, my message to Gen Z is this: start by looking through the mirror. Look through the mirror, start from your home, start with your friends, start with people you know. We all know people who live beyond their means, our friends, right? We know people who are corrupt. We know people who are stealing from the government. Tell them off. Let's tell them off. Tell them this is what is killing our society. This is what is killing our country. So in as much as we want to do this lazy slogan of saying the president must go, we have to make it a bigger issue than that, because taking one person from the equation doesn't solve anything. So we need to make it a bigger, to have a whole society solution to get anywhere in this. And so, yeah, that's the thing I wanted to raise, that we jointly have to tackle this issue. And it's the issue that is in the entire society: ethics, morality, corruption is actually a whole society thing. And everyone in this group must know somebody who is it my time off? Sorry.
Yes. So please land. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Shall I stop there?
No, just take the next 30 seconds to land. Yes.
30 seconds.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, I know that the other part you are trying to ask is, what should we tell the president? I think for me, the message would be there are things that are within his power to change. If he's able to change what is within his power, that would be fantastic. If he's looking for people who can change from the diaspora, there are enough people in the diaspora who can, create change for the country as well. That's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Martin. Let's go to Dr. Fanuel and then Jerry, and then why not Nduta in that order. And Simba, I saw you dropped while you're finishing, so we'll give you 1 more minute later. But let's go by Fanuel, and then Jerry, then why not Nduta, and then Simba in that order. BK, I see you. Dr. Fanuel, please begin by telling us from which part of the diaspora you're logging in, then 3 minutes.
Yes, hello. Good evening or good morning or I don't know each part of I'm in Berlin from German. I've lived in Berlin from 1972. I came here when I was 12 years. So far, what I can say, what we are talking a very nice scenario, but the problem where it is only that we as Kenyan, we can talk without the structure. We need structure, a strong structure, which can work in Kenya. We have some pillars in Kenya which they are not working. If we cannot make these pillars to work, it's only the government pillar which is working. We don't have the pillar of job creation. We don't have pillar of training centers. We don't have pillars of investors. If we make these pillars to be strong, I am telling you the truth, even the government, they will not have any power. But the problems, we have left those pillars, like how it is in Germany here. We have those 5 pillars, they are working. That's why you see there is a little bit, not so much corruption, which is in the system. And here in Kenya, why people they steal? Because there is no any pillars they are working there. So I'm trying to say, if the Dr. William Ruto, he want to make his country, our country, to be strong, or to be he must open these pillars to be in order. Another thing is this: the problem is it is in Kenya. If we as diaspora, we want to support and help Kenya, but the problem is what is there is this: if I take someone who want to buy, who want to make a company or investment in Kenya, you go there, they wait for you. They want, before you talk to anybody, they need 50 million, 20 million, and to talk to someone who want to bring trillions of money in the country. So these people, they say, no, we don't want to do any business with this country. So they are chasing business people away. So we need these business people to come on the ground to give people jobs, because the problem what is in Kenya is job creation. So this job creation, we must take these people, our people who are outside, even diaspora people like us. If we want to go and invest in a country, we have problems, huge problems, because of you cannot get this paper, you cannot, because you need people in the government. So there is where we have a lot of problems. So I don't know how we can organize, because I started last time, I took the Chamber of Commerce from Germany. I'm the one who brought them when there was Raila on the seat. I'm the one who brought them there, because I have a very good link with Chamber of Commerce in Germany here. So I brought them there. What happened? We sat, we talked. After all, they took those people and they ran with them. They didn't want even to know about me. So they just chased you away. And the Germans, they say, okay, if you have gone away, we don't want to work with people which we don't know. So you see, there is this attitude which is in our country, in Kenya. We as diaspora, we must see how we can organize and try to tell them this is not right. So I think this is where we're supposed to be very strong. We must bring the structure on the ground. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Hilary, go.
But,
go before yes, you want to say
Yeah,
something?
as it land, I think Natali, if you can come with those structures, is very important also sometimes. So that this is what I'm thinking, and you come with the proposals, then we can work with it, because we're saying that there's no structures and there's a little bit structures. I think much other speakers should give us this what we need to do. Then we come up with the structures, so it will take us centuries, because we'll be talking on that. And then I think if he has a proper structure, he took Raila to Germany and other things, that things are not working. What were the feedback and what is he thinking that he can do? Thank you so much, Dr. for that submission.
Yeah.
Who is coming next?
Thanks, Hilary. I wanted to chime in. What Dr. Fanuel is saying happened in Berlin is the same scenario that happened in Munich when some government officials came here. They come, and then when they find diasporans already working on projects, they take over. They use the office to take over. So if you look, just go and check which government officials were in Munich. You will know which person that was. They just came in. Now all of a sudden, with the title they're having, they took away projects from people. So they're corrupt on the ground. When they come to the diaspora, they use the title to even take those projects that diasporans are doing, but they go back and give them back to their corrupt people. So, but that will follow up there. So I see that Paul has come back. Paul, hopefully we can hear you. But Paul, let Jerry go. Jerry has been asking for over a lot of times. She's in the US. Then you come in, and then Duta. I think
Hi.
Hi. Finally. Oh my gosh.
Finally,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So my name is Njeri and I live in Washington State in Seattle. And I feel bad for the Gen Zs who lost their lives because of this government. But let me go straight to the point. I have two issues that I want to raise. One question I want to ask is for Okia Omtata. When I was in Kenya, I worked for an organization, and one of the things that I noticed was, since the Ministry of Foreign Affairs signs headquarter contracts with some foreign organization to come into the country to set up their headquarters within the country, I have no issue with that. My issue goes to, why is it that the headquarter agreement also allows for foreign employees to come into the country, work on tax-free basis, get additional allowances which are not taxed? So that makes additional allowances being things like housing up to like 100,000 Kenya shillings or 200,000 Kenya shillings in terms of rent allowance. And a person with the same capacity, same qualifications, same position, who's a Kenyan, doesn't get similar allowances, or even education, international education for their kids being foreigners, international education up to 1 million Kenya shillings, when the locals are not getting similar benefits, which means the government is prioritizing employment of foreigners as opposed to employment of Kenyans. And that's why probably one of the reasons why these kids rioted. Secondly, my other question is on the diaspora vote. The diaspora vote needs to be decentralized. What do I mean? Yes, we are talking about having all the embassies being polling stations, but we can go further. Like where I'm at right now, we've got Kenyan churches, and when like the ambassador is coming to, let's say, Seattle, he contacts the local pastors, and the local pastors mobilize people to come and meet with them, or meet with government officials or whoever is coming to see us from Kenya. Some of these churches are literally have been bought by Kenyans, are owned by Kenyans. Can't they register them as polling stations so that way we can be able to reach more people to vote, as opposed to me having to get a 5-hour flight to go to Washington, D.C. to be able to vote? I have to go with my kids. I can't leave them at home. Cost of accommodation, Uber, and all that cost me like $3,000-4,000. That disenfranchises me as a voter. I don't think I have anything else to add. And thank you so much for this forum.
So thanks, Jerry. You brought out a point that actually also touches on many other diasporans, they're expected to incur a lot of costs while voting, and that should not be the case. So many diasporans, as we are here, and I'm glad you're resonating with the point, and the other organizations that have spoken about that, they really want, because it's a constitutional right of the diaspora to vote, they really want to see that happen. And so the government, this point, as they listen in, the point, the message to the president at this point, we want to exercise our voting rights and we need more, the embassies. Yeah, thank you. Paul, why not Africa and then Nduta?
Thank you so much, Marge, Hillary, for hosting a very informative space. As I was listening, I realized that most of the situations or most of the issues our people were talking about are usually based on a simple thing. There is no consequence for negligence. This is why almost each and every one of you has mentioned corruption, right? Because there is no consequence for negligence, people just do whatever they want, well knowing no one is going to punish them. The other issue is our level of transparency in African politics is very blurry. We need our politicians to start being transparent. In fact, I suggest that before someone decides to stand for any position in office, number one, they need to be tested, their mindset, their head. Because some of them reply things to you when you are asking them for, or when you're trying to get them on accountability, and you wonder if these people deserve to be in the offices they hold. And then number three, there is an issue, someone's borrowing money from the West. We are the only group of people in the world who always claim that we are backwards because of colonialism. But then again, we run to the same people who colonized us to give us solutions to our problems. In fact, some politicians who you call presidents go in those countries to be taught about Africa. Can you imagine that? Even during the protests, I've said this before, some accounts were tagging the ICC to take action on the children of Kenya. When I say children of Kenya, that includes Ruto too. This is almost everywhere. Now, it is like telling your neighbor who has the most violent, unpunished kid to help punish yours. The same ICC that is not punishing anyone else is the same ICC you are tagging to punish your children. When you have the capacity to punish your own children. So the idea that because we have been molded to believe that we cannot do things by ourselves, this is why we keep looking for those people to come and save us, even when we have the capacity to save ourselves. The other issue, when you go on corruption, the gentleman said it really well. Part of the corruption begins in our homes, begins in your character. You are not fair in your own family, and along the way you become a politician. How will you be fair to the nation? So he was right when he said we need to check ourselves, regardless of where you are, as long as you are African. In Uganda, the president once said, economy will fall if corrupt people are punished. But somehow, people are still greeting him with both hands. In Nigeria, a country that calls itself the giant of Africa, they don't even have an airline. How can you be a giant when you need Egypt or Ethiopia to take you to your home? That is what I call the illusion of strength. Then the government of Finland, someone talked about it, and he was talking about the salary of their leader. It is true. But one day I was in Tanzania, and I met one journalist who had flew in that country to see with their minister to oversee the opening of schools in that country. And I'm always asking myself, so much resources, we are so rich, But somehow we are always looking for handouts from countries that are supposed to be to be dependent on us. And so, in all, I look at Kenya as a country that is going to be the spark of so many positive revolutions in Africa. This is why it is important for anyone anywhere in Africa to play a keen role and to pay keen attention to what the Kenyans are doing. We advise them when we need to, and we encourage them when we need to, we applaud them when we need to, and most especially, we make sure that we help them prosper. My last point, isolate those people who do not have the interest of the country. Isolate them. Isolate them from the churches, isolate them from the mosques, isolate them from the barrios. You know someone has stolen your money, stop smiling with them, isolate them. It's like you have a violent boyfriend and you think the solution for the violence is to get married to that boyfriend. How is that going to work out? You know someone is stealing, but you think the solution to that stealing is for you to keep smiling at them or with them. To the politicians who are here, stop saying the government is saying this. You become a government when you work for or with the people you are claiming to lead. And some of you claim that we have structures. Structures don't make a good government. The results of the structures are what make a good government. And so we need results. Thank you to the Kenyans and thank you to the Africans.
Thank you so much. Why not African?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your submission, and we'll call you to be a speaker here to elaborate more on this. And thank you guys for joining Diasporian. We have 45 minutes to go, so let us stick to 3 minutes. Paul, and then Duta, then Bob, in that order. Paul, go ahead. Paul Rams, go ahead.
Can I go?
I've
yes.
said Paul.
Paul, is that not Paul? That's Paul, yeah.
Paul, go ahead.
Paul.
Yes,
Paul, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you proceed?
Yes, thank you so much, Marge, for this opportunity. I'll try to be very, very brief. First of all, I want to start with the message to the president. Well, I can trace a little bit back when he was campaigning, and he used to say clearly that the voice of the people of God. I'd just like to ask him how the Generation Z have spoken of our people. I'd just like to ask him to listen to the voice of the people. If you can't step aside, remove yourself from the office, Mr. President. To the next generation, you've lost all legitimacy of being in that office. You know that it also says of the 7 things that God hates. The least is a lying tongue. You have lied to your people, you've lied to yourself. No more message to you. Point number 2 is, our president has lost the best generation that any president could ever have. He is presiding over our country at a time when the majority of this generation is well informed and well educated. He refused to take that advantage. Look at the potential of this generation now, and look at the potential of our country. He still laments about our first and second presidents. While at this particular hour when he's president, 50 to 60% of the young people are PhD holders or maybe degree holders. But he still claims that, or I'm still paying for whatever Kenyatta and Moi did. When Kenyatta was president, how many people were graduates in our country? If you look at the potential of young people, especially those of us that are in the diaspora, do we see the effect of our remittances to the country? Do we know how much, if that money is put together, how much it can be able to do? Look at us and how much we spend in the country, how much we send to our country there. What do we get in return? What do we see this money doing? We know what happened with the Eurobond. Let me not get into that. My last point is this. If you look at
And your message to Paul, and your message to the president.
my
1 minute.
my message to the president is, first of all, is the people have spoken. This generation has spoken. And you normally say to us that the voice of the people is the voice of God. Now the people have spoken, they don't want you in office. All that most of us here are saying that you should put in place. Please don't try to put those things in place. Remove yourself from the office. This generation don't want you. Most Kenyans don't want you. We've already lost faith in you. Things will be able to be this. We can be able to make things by ourselves. We've got people that can do better for Kenya. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul. Yes, that's a voice from the Iceland diaspora. Who was next? Thanks, Paul. The message is very clear. Nduta from Australia. Nduta, then Bob. Yes, go on. Yeah.
Thank you much. Thank you, Hillary, for the space. I was here earlier, but because I'm down under, I'm in Australia, our time limit is off the grid.
Can you hear Nduta? I cannot hear her.
Fell asleep and... Can you hear me?
Maja can hear her. She's saying she's in Australia.
Okay,
then anasema saa hii saa nane mchana. Jua ni kali. Take care of her, and once done, let me know so that I can proceed because I cannot hear her. Okay.
Okay. I was just mentioning that I was here earlier, but I couldn't keep up because it was 1 a.m. But I found you guys back here, and with your unveiling commitment to fix our country, it's something really big. I'll try to be very short and brief because most people have said so much.
Can you allow that lady to speak from Australia before me, please?
She is speaking. If you could just wait.
KDR TV is she's the one who's speaking. Go ahead, Nduta.
Okay. I was just saying I'll try and be brief. To Mr. President, I think most have been said. I don't want to keep repetitive, but I'll try and echo what people have said. What we are all asking for is political goodwill. He has to align himself to political goodwill, or just give that chance to somebody else who can push the country to where we want the country to be. We are operating on a negative fiscal balance, and I don't comprehend how we got here as a country. When we were growing up, tourism and agriculture, they were the main sources of revenue for our country for many years. But now we are grappling around tax collection on a struggling economy. Why are we trying to fill up that shortfall by borrowing? Well, how can we be operating on taxes for a percentage of GDP? He needs to augment towards, refilling back tourism and agriculture. Him sending young people outside of the country, it's not pragmatic. He needs to create jobs for the young people. He needs to augment towards making enabling, or maybe helping the youth to become capital owners. It's said that $1 that a government spends is $1 that is born. We need to circulate our Kenyan shilling within locally. We need to mitigate around that. So for me, it's to say to Ruto that if he needs to give us political goodwill, if he remains in power, he needs a vision like Kibaki. Look at Vision 2030. Are they even measuring the success of Vision 2030? There's already a blueprint. Why can't we implement that? There's so much in that Vision 2030. The youth are incorporated in it. There's so much in it. We just need a structure from him. And if he cannot align to that, he needs to just step down. That's all.
Thank you so much, Dr. for your submission, and also for being up at 1 a.m. in Australia. We really, really appreciate your presence and also your commitment on the diaspora to see Kenyans are getting information. Bob, go ahead, then Brian, then Dixon.
Yes, guys. Good afternoon, morning. Hope I'm audible.
Bob, hatuwezi kukusikia, sijui uko wapi.
I hope you can hear me now, right?